When Nico Iamaleava and the Tennessee offense takes the field against Ohio State on Saturday, these four things need to go the Volunteers' way to pull off the upset in Columbus. Paige Dower alongside Jimmy Hines. Jimmy, I think we obviously have to start with Nico Iamaleava and the pass game. When you look specifically, in SEC play, because the numbers get a little skewed when you consider non-conference games, I think in this game, I don't know if we need an A-plus game from Nico in the pass game, but I do think we probably need to see about 175 yards in this game. You look to the two losses this season with Georgia and Arkansas. They're both below that 175 mark, and of course, both ended up in losses. The amount of attempts were a little different, but 29, 33 respectively. Against Georgia, you start out well, you get nearly 100 yards in that first half, and then it just nosedives in the second. I think if they can maybe replicate what they did in the first half against Georgia and what they really have been doing in SEC play through the air, I think that is a good recipe for Tennessee.
If you look at what he's done the last 5 games, he's been really impressive. And now he missed a half against Mississippi State, the second half due to injury. But in those other games, if you look at the yards per game, he had 3 games with over 200 yards. He's had 3 games during that stretch where he completed over 69% of his passes. 3 games in which his efficiency rating was over 195. He has played really well during that stretch. And I think he needs to do that again. And I think one reason he's played well is he looks to be more comfortable. He looks to be more confident. He looks to be making quicker decisions, better decisions. He looks like the quarterback a lot of people thought he would be at the start of this season. And I think he's playing with a lot of confidence at this point with the offense. And this offense requires a lot of reading. He's got to read the defense the correct way. So do the receivers. And sometimes that takes a while to get on the same page. But I think they're on the same page right now. So he needs to play well, and he has played well the second half of the season.
And you can just tell from hearing from Joey Hausley, hearing from Nico earlier this week that there is, this undying, confidence in Nico, and it continues to build each week. Even if it is cold weather up in Columbus, which he says is just a media narrative, he does not care so much about the cold weather. I just think how he's ended the regular season is building the right confidence. And I think when you see the connection forming with wide receivers in the back half, I think it's reasonable to expect that he hits that 175 mark. And maybe most of those yards go to Dante Thornton. 5 times this season, he's been your leading receiver. 4 other times, he's had explosive plays of at least 40 yards. So if he can be your explosive playmaker, I think that'll be key. But then you also worry a little bit because when we had access to practice, I saw Dante Thornton, Squirrel White, and Brew McCoy all in red jerseys. Hopefully that's just precautionary. But obviously understanding what happened after Vanderbilt, we know they're all truly banged up.
Well, if you go back to Thornton, the good news is about Thornton, he averages over 25 yards a catch, right?
Yes.
The not so good news is he doesn't catch that many passes. They need to get him the football more. The receiver issue to me is a concern, and it's a bigger concern to me than others that I've talked to, because I've heard people say, well, they don't play a big rotation at wide receiver. That's true, but if McCoy can't go, and he got hurt in pregame warmups against Vanderbilt, if Squirrel Wright's still having issues with his shoulder, if Thornton is having issues, if you take those 3 out and they can't all go, you've got 4 receivers that have entered the portal.
Right.
Now, you could argue that Nimrod and Webb are not great. That's okay. But at least they were bodies that you could use. And now you're down to Mike Matthews. Is Brandon Staley going to be another guy that really hasn't contributed at all this year?
No.
Is he going to be a factor now? I think that's an issue. You need to be at least healthy enough to put out 3 receivers, sometimes 4. It also makes me wonder, is Tennessee going to go with more 2 tight end sets?
Sure.
That might be their answer. And Miles Kitselman has done a really nice job as a receiving tight end and a blocker too. But he's the best receiver out of he and Holden Stays. Now, Ethan Davis is another receiver, a tight end that can be a receiver for you as well. And maybe they split him out some. maybe they take a running back and split a running back out.
Yeah.
That might be some of the answers, but I am probably more concerned about the wide receiver position than some others I've talked to, just because of your lack of depth and the uncertainty of, even if those guys start the game, McCoy, White, and Thornton, do they get banged up during the game and have to come out?
Yeah. Well, and when you look to Vanderbilt, I think that game probably in hindsight gives us a lot more confidence from the fan base and media perspective, because I'm sure they know better in-house than we do, that Mike Matthews was able to get meaningful snaps and that he delivered in those opportunities. I might think that settles some nerves. When Heupel was asked about Braylon Staley earlier this week, he says he's more than ready to go and play in this one. Of course, we've not really seen him get too many snaps because he redshirted this year. But knowing that at least Mike Matthews, who's had a lot of deserved hype coming into this year, has delivered in spots, if there are some of those starters that maybe don't play as many snaps because they are battling types of injuries, I think that might calm some nerves. But you need at least one wide receiver that can deliver for you in this game.
And I think Matthews is a player that's capable of that. Going back to the reading, one reason a lot of freshman receivers or transfer receivers that come into Tennessee don't make an immediate impact is because of all the reading that they have to do.
Sure.
They have to be on the same page with the quarterback. And during the course of practice, if the coaches don't trust that the receivers are reading the defenses the right way and getting on the same page with the quarterback, they don't play that much.
Right.
Because all you got to do is break one way and he throws it another and you got to pick six. So that's one reason it takes a while for these receivers to adjust to this system. But now you're in game 13. You should have adjusted by now. And I think we've seen signs of that with Matthews against Vanderbilt, as you pointed out. So I think he could be a key element to Tennessee's passing game against Ohio State.
We have an exceptional group of attorneys that work here. We're all trying to be better attorneys, be better advocates for our clients, be better people.
It makes me proud to be part of the team when I see how much the attorneys care about their clients.
It's truly one vision. I feel like every single person who works here has that same vision, and that's to treat all of our clients like family.
We've developed such a tight-knit team. Everyone is unified in being selfless in their representation.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
At Wallace Real Estate, trust is more than just a word. It's been our foundation since 1936. Whether you seek backyard adventures or a quiet spot for your morning coffee, we understand what makes a house a home. Our agents are here to simplify your home journey and to lead you through the process, whether buying or selling. With Wallace Real Estate, you're getting more than guidance. You're gaining a local partner dedicated to bringing your dreams to life. Start your real estate journey at wallacetn.com.
You know, it's interesting. Ohio State's defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, was talking earlier about Nico and the offense, and he's like, he has a cannon for an arm, but he's also a lot faster than people think. And that might even contribute to our second point where it needs to go Tennessee's way. Like, they need the run game to be established early in this game. Maybe it starts with Dylan Sampson like it has so many times, but as Jim Knowles, kind of nods to, maybe it's Nico carrying the ball a few more times than we typically see him do.
Maybe, and I think that when he's running the ball effectively, he is a more effective quarterback.
Yeah.
And he seems to throw the ball well when he's engaged with the running game, too. He's had a couple of games recently where he ran for over 40 yards. If he can do that against Ohio State, that's a big plus.
Yeah.
It also makes them stay a little bit more innocent in terms of the focus on Dylan Sampson. So if your quarterback's a threat, then that can open it up for Sampson. And Sampson, to me, he's had so many 100-yard games, I'd almost be surprised if he doesn't get 100, even though Ohio State's got a great run defense. But I think Tennessee's offense, if Nico can run the ball effectively, they can catch him some on the zone read, perhaps out of position a little bit. But the running game is so important against Ohio State. Now, we saw Michigan kind of bludgeon them for 170, but they don't run a lot of the zone read.
Sure.
They just line up and power at you. Tennessee's a little bit more finesse in that regard. But I think a good number for Tennessee in the run game is 125. If they can get to that mark, I think that would be a successful day on the ground against Ohio State's defense. And so I'll be curious to see not just how many carries does Sampson have, how many does Nico have?
Sure.
And how efficient is he going to be? Because he is a good runner when he tucks it under.
And I think, having Deshaun Bishop back, Peyton Lewis has just really evolved in the back half of the season as well, in light of Deshaun Bishop being injured, kind of midway through the season. Being able to have depth in one of those positions, also we don't really have that in the wide receiver room as much as we did in the beginning of the season, but to have like 3 true running backs, kind of really ready to go.
Yeah.
Nico maybe even contributing some. I think will be a saving grace when you're a little concerned on the depth and the skill position.
Yeah, it's good to get Bishop and Lewis back. I wouldn't expect them to play a whole lot, but Sampson's going to need a rest here or there.
Right.
So I do think, and Bishop ended up being the second best running back.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a surprise to a lot of people as a guy that came in as a local walk-on.
Yes.
Who has really developed into a nice running back. So that does help you in the backfield. Although in a game like this, I wouldn't give Sampson too much rest. I want him on the
keep
field
pounding
a
the
lot.
rock. Yes, yeah. I think so too.
Litton's in Fountain City, proud supporters of Tennessee athletics. When you're hungry, remember Litton's for the best burgers and the best desserts in town. Salon Visage has been voted Knoxville's best salon for more than 20 years and one of the top 25 salons in America. Salon Visage offers elite, innovative, and specialized services by highly trained colorists and hairstylists. Salon Visage is located at 1701 Downtown West Boulevard. The Visage Group also has 2 barbershops, one at Downtown West and one at 304 South North Shore Drive.
I think he'll come up huge in, those third down conversions, especially against a really stout third down defense in Ohio State, which is our third point, and that absolutely needs to go Tennessee's way. But they're number 27 in the country in third down defense, only giving up a first down on those third down tries 33% of the time.
Yeah, and Tennessee converts 45%. What is it?
I think so.
48% on third down conversions.
Okay.
That's 14 in the country. That's pretty darn good. And that, in a lot of instances, tells me that you're staying ahead of the chains.
Sure.
So that's important for them to do that. You don't want a whole lot of 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10s against Ohio State because they're a very good pass rushing team. And it's just not, when you go on the road, it's harder to convert those 3rd and longs, in my opinion, than it is 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. So I think third down conversions is big. It also keeps Ohio State's offense off the field. And then I actually think in a game like this, rather than 12 or 14 possessions, I think you might see it more like 9 or 10 possessions.
Oh, okay.
Per team.
Okay.
Tennessee had a recent game where in the second half the opponent had 3 possessions.
Sure.
Because they just kept grinding it out and converting third downs and having 12 or 14 play drives.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that's going to be a big key for Tennessee is converting third downs, keeping your offense on the field, moving it down the field, getting yourself in scoring position, and keeping Ohio State's offense off the field.
And a little bit of that weakness when you're looking at, those first down conversions, whether on, your first down marker or your third, is OSU gives up more first downs from the pass game. So you look at their first down defense, which they're number 1 in the country in that regard. They've given up 79 passing first downs as compared to 71. So they're a little even, but the margin obviously goes in the passing game way. So I'd be interested to see where Tennessee gets more success in such an, even caliber on defense when it comes to pass defense.
I'm going to suggest that Tennessee, when they have 3rd and short, they're going to throw the football. And one reason is Ohio State's got a very stout, strong run defense. And Tennessee, their offensive line is more finesse than physical. They cannot line up against most teams and just, okay, it's 4th and 1, we're just going to run straight at you. You know it's coming. They're going to blow you off the ball. They don't do that. The run game is predicated on them having a numbers advantage so that the opponent, if they have only like 6 in the box, Tennessee can run on you. If they put 8 in the box and they're lining up in a goal line stand defense, Tennessee's not going to have much success there running the football right at them.
Sure.
So I think you might see rollout passes. You might see Nico, and even when he rolls out, he could run. But I think you'll see that or short throws. That's probably what other people are looking at with Ohio State. Can't run against that brick wall, so we have to throw it. But I think Tennessee in short yardage would be better off getting on the edge and throwing the football as opposed to just trying to ram it right down Ohio State's throat.
And I think that kind of leads into our 4th point too, when if you're able to get these third or first downs, that feeds really into the tempo and rhythm that you're able to create on offense.
Andros Physical Therapy at Blaine and Strawberry Plains. That's where I've gone to rehab my knee, my shoulder, my elbow. When rubbing a little dirt on it ain't enough. Ogle Brothers General Store in Sevierville is the best place to shop in the Smokies. They offer clothing, food, candy, toys, locally made arts and crafts, souvenirs, and more. The goal is to pay tribute to the rich history of farm life in East Tennessee and Southern Appalachia. Visit them at 1640 Parkway or call 865-366-1485.
But when you're looking at Ohio State's defense, they're kind of built to neutralize up-tempo offenses, especially that's what their DC and Jim Knowles says. So I think that'll be a unique challenge for Tennessee. Obviously OSU's gone against similar teams like Oregon who like an up-tempo offense. So I think, again, that'll be a unique challenge for Tennessee to go up against a team that probably has the best opportunity to neutralize that.
I'm intrigued by a defense that is built to stop up-tempo.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that means I got better players than you. That's how Georgia does it.
Interesting.
If you don't have better players against Oregon scored 30-plus points.
I think so.
On Ohio State, okay? And they run up tempo. Not a lot of teams in the Big Ten run up tempo. So, but it also, theoretically, if you don't sub, the defense can't sub.
Mm-hmm.
So you keep them on the field. I think a big part of that, too, with this up tempo, and I think up tempo will work. Tennessee has been judicious in when they've done it. And sometimes they slow it down on third down just to make sure they got the right play in. Right?
Yes, yeah.
So we've seen that. But when Tennessee goes with that up tempo, they got to make sure that they don't have illegal procedure penalties. They have, on the road in particular, that has been a problem.
Yeah.
You don't want 1st and 15, or if you got 2nd and 5, you don't want an illegal procedure, and they got 2nd and 10. You got to stay away from pre-snap penalties. On the road, that's a little bit harder because of the noise factor. But I think if Tennessee can get going with the up-tempo, it can. And the other part of the up-tempo is you want to wear down the opponent, right?
Sure.
Eventually. And so I think Tennessee, if they can click on some first down plays and get rolling, because as we've seen, if they gain 5, 6, 8 yards on first down, they're going hurry up.
Sure.
And they're trying to catch you not only out of position, but they're trying to tire you out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the key to the up-tempo. So I'm curious to see if Ohio State is built to stop an up-tempo.
Yeah.
Because, again, I think that just means I think my players are better than yours.
Yeah. So that game against Oregon, it was a 32-31 victory for the Ducks. And what I thought was interesting from the defensive coordinator for OSU and Jim Knowles was when he was describing how they simulate this up-tempo type of play calling or slowing it down. Obviously, they're practicing against their twos and their scout team. But he says you obviously can't go against up-tempo every single snap in practice. So what he does to continue to simulate that is he's like, I'll have our defense turn their backs on the offense and then just have them run up to the line and just quickly call the play. And he says that really tests their decision-making and the speed. Yeah. And I'm curious, I've not heard a defensive coordinator talk that way before. Yeah. So I'm curious how these pirouettes they're doing on the field to get turned around for the snap, how that will favor them in the game.
I'm curious, too. I'm also reminded that there was a great boxer by the name of Mike Tyson who once said, everybody has a game plan until they get hit in the mouth.
Yes, yeah.
So if Tennessee can hit them in the mouth with the up-tempo and have some success early, I don't know. Now, I'm not expecting Tennessee to go out and score 40 points, okay? Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I do think Tennessee will have the ability to move the football, sustain drives, and put points on the board. I don't think this is a game where you need to score 30 to win it.
Sure.
I think this will be a game in the 20s. Mm-hmm. And if you can get to 20, 23, 27 points, if Tennessee can do that, Tennessee can win this football game, I believe.
Sure.
So the up-tempo is going to be interesting. And I'll be curious to see how much Tennessee goes to that, to the up-tempo. But I'm also curious to see what you're talking about, what Ohio State says they plan to do. There's a part of me who wants to go back and watch what they did against Oregon.
Yes. You know what Tennessee is.
If you look at the scoreboard, it didn't work too well.
No. When we look at these 4 points, what would you consider to be the most important that it needs to go Tennessee's way so that they can win in Columbus?
Nico plays well.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in the quarterback being the most important person on the field. Mm-hmm. And even if you take it to the pro ranks, whether it's Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, when those guys played well, their teams were hard to beat. In college, if your quarterback plays really well, you're hard to beat. Mm-hmm. And I think about Syracuse's quarterback played well against Miami, and Syracuse beat Miami. Yeah. There are a lot of games like that where you can find if the quarterback isn't. Hey, let's take Tennessee and Georgia. Mm-hmm. Carson Beck was terrific against Tennessee. Now, they didn't do a good job putting pressure on him. He was great in that game. Georgia beats Tennessee. I think if Nico plays really well in this game, Tennessee has a great chance. I think he is the most important part of Tennessee's ability to upset the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that one, especially when it comes to his decision making and being able to connect with his receivers early. And of course, that opens up so much more of Tennessee's game. When we come back on Friday, we'll flip things and look at how Tennessee's defense will be able to slow down that Ohio State offense. Stay tuned with us when we come back on Friday to talk more things Tennessee, Ohio State.
Big Orange Pickleball is a state-of-the-art multi-million-dollar facility designed to serve the growing demand for pickleball in this area. Located at 7729 Strawberry Plains Pike, it's one of the premier indoor pickleball venues in the nation. It has 6 sport master cushion courts, a climate-controlled environment, and customized LED lighting. To find out more, go to bigorangepickleball.com or call 865-465-7920. A.G. Hines Company. They've been around for over 100 years, selling building materials since anyone can remember.